experience it. So now that tests your iman. Do you believe and have certainty that the punishment of the grave certainly occurs? The next topic, what are the specific sins that we have been told lead to the punishment of the grave? Two of them we already mentioned now. The issue of urinating, not concealing yourself, not looking after yourself, and the issue of tail carrying and namima. Those two are mentioned as specific causes for the punishment of the grave. On top of that, from the specific causes of the punishment of the grave, in fact, there's a third one we mentioned already as well, which was the garments below the ankles. That one was mentioned as well as a specific cause for the punishment of the grave, for the men who wear their garments below their ankles. Fourth, lying. Al-kadhib. Lying, the one who lies. Lying is a specific type of sin that is connected to the punishment of the grave. For the one who spreads lies. And it mentions in the hadith, a person spreads a lie, and that lie spreads from the east to the west. Especially in these days now. You can spread a lie about somebody, and before you know it, people in America have heard about it. People in Indonesia have heard about it. In Australia have heard about it. With the way it is now, the technology and the connectivity, a person spreads a lie and it can spread within seconds to the east and the west of the world. And so it is mentioned, a person who lies and that lie is spread to the east and the west, this individual is in line for the punishment of the grave. Also, fornication. Fornication is mentioned as a specific sin connected to the punishment of the grave. Also, interest. Taking interest with money, taking interest is a specific punishment or is a specific sin connected to the punishment of the grave. And again, that's something you have to be very careful of, because the whole dunya, the world, the whole financial system, the whole economic system of the world is built upon interest. All these loans and banks and everything, mortgages and car loans and whatever it is all interest. Even when they talk about the rate of inflation, the ROI, the rate of inflation is considered as interest. That is also considered as interest. Like now, you know, the kuffar, they try to do this a lot. They say it's a 0% loan, but there's rate of inflation on it. Meaning that if you borrow from me £1,000 today, you borrow from me, or let's make it an easier example to understand. Let's say you borrow from me £1 today. For £1 these days, what can you get from the shop? A can of Coke? Maybe £1 or something these days? An ice cream? £1? You can get those things for £1 these days. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, a can of Coke used to be like 20p, 30p. An ice cream used to be like 20p. The pasty at Greg's, the cheese and onion pasty, how much is it these days? £1.30. Oof. I remember a time we used to give them 50p and you used to get change. 30 years ago, it used to be 47p or something, 46p. So now what's happened? The price of things goes up over time. This is what the kuffar they say. They say, right now, if I lend you £1, that £1 is worth an ice cream, a can of Coke, a cheese pasty. But in 20 years from now in the future, how much will a can of Coke be? It won't be £1, it's going to end up being £1.70, £1.90, £2 maybe. The ice cream from the ice cream man isn't going to be £1. In 20 years, 30 years, it's going to be maybe 180, 170. So they say to you, okay, there's no interest, but if you're going to pay me this £1 back in 20 years from now, you need to give me £1.80. And they say that's not interest, that's just the value of the pound. Right now, 20 years later, £1, I can't buy a Coke anymore. I can't buy an ice cream anymore. 20 years ago when I gave you that pound, when you borrowed it from me, I could. So now you should give me back the same value of the pound at least, so that I can still go and buy an ice cream now. I can buy a Coke now with that money that I gave you 20 years ago. So they call that the rate of inflation. And they say that's not interest. I'm not taking any extra money from you. I'm just taking the same value of the money that I gave you. Islamically, that is haram still. Islamically, that is interest. If I borrow £1 from you now, in 20 years from now, if you remember, and you ring me up and you come to my house and you say, you remember 20 years ago in Sheffield that day on a Sunday night, you took £1 off me. I want it back. In 20 years from now, I'm going to give you only £1. If you say, but I can't buy an ice cream with this pound anymore, I'll say, okay, well then go buy half an ice cream. £1 is what you're getting. That's what I borrowed off you 20 years ago. Islamically, a pound is a pound. Inflation and all these things are interest. So here the point is that any form of interest is impermissible. The rate of inflation, this particular issue, I remember in 2003, 20 years ago exactly. In 2003, I remember I went to Sheikh Rabia's house and I asked him about the rate of inflation. I asked him about this particular thing because in those days, back in 2002-03, I was at university here before I went to university in Medina. And so they used to have these student loans. Alhamdulillah, I never took anything, but I went to ask the Sheikh that year. And we asked him, Sheikh, this is what they say about the rate of inflation. That we'll give you this student loan and there's no interest, but later on when you pay it back, you have to give us the value of it back, which is going to be more because of inflation, etc. And we asked him all of this and he said, haram, interest. That is interest. If you borrow 10,000 now and they want 12,500 back in 10 years, that's interest, the 2,500. Doesn't matter what they call it, rate of inflation this, rate of inflation that. So this is one of the causes of interest or of a punishment of the grave, interest. A person taking interest is a means and a cause of the punishment of the grave. So that's a few of the specific sins that cause the punishment of the grave.